And then my third place team, I think, is Canada. I really like Team Sweden's roster. I think they're better than Team Canada, honestly.
Today is February 11th, 2025. Welcome back to the Checking from Behind podcast, you beauties. I'm your host, Zach, joined as always by my co-host, Preston. Preston, however, you weren't here over the weekend for our Sunday release episode. Where were you? How was it?
So I was at a friend's birthday party.
That's sick, though. You get kind of fucked up at it?
No, I don't live that kind of life anymore.
That's fair. Yeah, you're a big health guru just like myself. It's honestly kind of fun living the health lifestyle, I'm not going to lie.
I'm not gonna not drink, but I gotta drive home. I'm not gonna get super fucked up.
Of course. Let's hop into our Four Nations predictions and previews. So we're gonna go over some players that are in and some players that are out, as in they're playing and they're not playing. Two players that their status were up in the air. Sidney Crosby, he is gonna go play for Team Canada, and then Mikko Rantanen is going to play for Team Finland. Those were two guys. Rantanen, we kind of knew was going to play anyways. His injury wasn't nothing serious. Crosby was the one that it was 50-50. The Penguins were going to give him the option to whether to go play or not. He has earned that status. He can just go play for the 8-day tournament, whatever it is. And he was practicing with Canada on their first practice, which was a telling sign that he was going to go play for Team Canada no matter what. We're going over to the players that are not playing. Rasmus Ristolainen, I decided not to put the guy, no disrespect to him, that is replacing Ristolainen, mainly because I can't pronounce dude's name, so I'm sorry.
What's his name?
I don't even know. It's I think
Nicholas Mantapalo?
No, that's not the dude. It's somebody else.
Urho Fahakanayan.
Yes, that's him. I think that's him.
The Rangers. I never even heard of him before.
I have never either. And they are down to about their 25th option. Well, actually, that's more like their, I think, 10th option, 9th or 10th option, because there's another defenseman that's hurt on Team Finland we'll get to in a second. Quinn Hughes is also out for Team USA. Jake Sanderson will be replacing him. Alex Pietrangelo is out for Team... Yes, it does hurt a lot. Quinn Hughes, I thought, was going to be he was going to be their number one defenseman, their power play 1 unit, their PK specialist. He was going to play almost 29 minutes a night.
I think Jake Sanders is a good sub. He's having a good year, but he's not Quinn Hughes.
What I heard from Elliot Friedman was that Bill Guerin loves Jake Sanderson. He's a huge Jake Sanderson fan. So anybody that knew that kind of figured Jake Sanderson was going to be a replacement for Hughes. Alex Pietrangelo, he is currently out for Team Canada. We knew that already. Drew Doughty will be replacing him. And it was a nice little gesture by the Kings on their game Saturday night to just acknowledge Drew Doughty during the game, or maybe it was pregame, whatever, that he was going to be part of the Four Nations tournament. And in classic Drew Doughty fashion, he didn't even know what was going on. The ref had to come over and congratulate him and making it. So
is that how he found out?
Yeah, I don't know if that's how he found out, but that's how he found out. The arena was doing something for him, the team put something together for him. That was funny.
He's had quite the year. He might have been on the roster from the beginning if he hadn't gotten hurt in the preseason, but.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be on the roster no matter what, and then obviously he gets hurt, and it just.
I think the injury did change things.
It did, and the fact that Pietrangelo, I think just opted out. I don't think he's hurt or anything. So
yeah, I'm not sure about that.
William Karlsson is out due to injury. Rickard Rakell will be replacing him. I thought maybe you could go with William Eklund there for Team Sweden, but I think Rakell is not a bad option.
No, he's having a good year. Yeah.
Miro Heiskanen, this is a huge blow. I think this blow is worse than Quinn Hughes, mainly because of how already shallow the Team Finland's blue line is, and Henry Jokiharju is replacing him. That's a huge.
No player is going to be able to replace Heiskanen. Jokiharju might have been one of the only few options. I'm not sure how many Finnish defensemen are even in the league.
Not many.
No, but Miro Heiskanen's top 5 defensemen in the league, in my opinion. And that really hurts. I think Finland already had an uphill battle, but I think that makes it even harder.
And we already knew this is also kind of old. Jacob Markstrom is out, as we found out about 3 weeks ago when he got hurt for the Devils. Samuel Ersson will be replacing him. I'm not expecting Ersson to get any time for Team Sweden. Who? It's UPL, and then who's the other goalie for them?
No,
Saros.
for Sweden,
Oh
it's
no, it's
Saros and
Allmark.
Allmark.
It's
Yeah,
Allmark. Allmark's. I'm
yeah.
assuming is going to be the starter.
Lukedin's Finnish.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah,
Lukin is finished. Okay.
yeah,
Then it's what? Allmark. Oh, Gustafsson. It's Gustafsson.
yeah. Gustafsson,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry,
Saros is Team Finland. Yeah,
I mix up fucking the Swedish and the Finnish.
I mean they are right next to each other.
That's fair. Okay, a lot of those are going to be big blows. How about the NHL trying a 3-2-1 point system for this Four Nations tournament? Could it be foreshadowing maybe it coming back, because I've wanted this back for the past year. I don't know if I mentioned it on this podcast. I probably have at some point, that I want them to add a 3-2-1 point system. For those of you guys who are kind of oblivious to what it is, 3 regulation points for a regulation win, 2 points for an overtime or shootout loss, and then win, and then 1 for an overtime shootout loss, and obviously you get 0 points for regulation loss.
Yeah, I'm more of the opinion. I think you should get 2 for winning and 0 if you lose, even if it's an overtime or shootout. Get rid of the extra point bullshit. Make overtime that more. Like make it. The push will be crazier. Like knowing that you can like sometimes teams will be like tied late in the game and they might just settle for overtime. Nah, fuck that.
I kind of like that argument, but
that's too aggressive. The NHL would never do that.
The NHL would never do that. What if the NHL would also never get away from a point system? What if they just said, fuck it, let's just do wins and losses?
No, they're never going to get rid of that point system.
I know they never would, but I think that that's how you simplify things. I would love a 3-2-1 point system, though. I think that would.
I don't really see this being like a test drive for what it might look like in the league. I mean, it's pretty typical for these kinds of round robin tournaments to have that point system just to ensure there's no tiebreakers. Because it's very unlikely with this point system that any teams will be tied in the standings, because there is no like playoff rounds. It's just the 2 best teams playing the championship game. However, there's a consolation game for 3rd and 4th place. I think they're done.
Yeah, it just goes straight to the championship game. They have that game on the 17th
next Thursday
or 18th, and then Thursday is the championship round, which I'm excited for. We'll get into our predictions a little bit later with that stuff. And then another little quick piece of news: they're also trying a 10-minute overtime period in the round robin games instead of a 5-minute.
4-on-4 or 3-on-3?
That's a great question. I don't think they said that. I'd assume it's going to be still 3-on-3 because they never specified that they were going to change it to 4-on-4, which I would love a 3-on-3 10-minute overtime period. This would also, I think, if the NHL adopted this would get rid of almost shootouts completely. And we know that the NHL will probably not go to a 3-2-1 point system, and that's adopted by the IIHF and international play and all that stuff we see all the time. But I do think it's a very good possibility within the next couple years that they just say, screw it, let's go 3-on-3 10-minute overtime period. Or even if it's not 10, work your way to like 7 minutes or something like that, which I think would be okay. Like I don't mind the 5-minute overtime period, but I think shootouts are completely pointless because you just, I don't know. It was a fun thing when it got adopted after the 03-04 lockout, but it just kind of is stale at this point. Like, just make
I don't see them getting rid of shootouts. I think that most fans like them too much. I know you. I think they're fine. They're very entertaining to watch in person. I mean, they do that in soccer and Thai. They go to penalty kicks. So, and that's arguably worse than a shootout because statistically, you should be more likely to score on a penalty kick in soccer than on a shootout in hockey because the net's like 8 times the size.
Yeah.
Those poor goalies. Yeah, I don't have any issues with the overtime rules. I think the only overtime rule I would ever consider changing is stop them from like holding onto the puck for too long and force them to, take more chances and like I don't like them bragging on the puck a lot.
We've talked about this before, but like a long time ago, the NHL should adopt a shot clock for overtime, and once you cross the center ice line, you cannot bring it back. Like in over and back in basketball, you can't.
Yeah,
do that.
I think that would make it way better and force teams to be more aggressive. Teams don't like shootouts, fine, then go fucking score.
Exactly. I think it might be a little bit extreme. What just came to my head is that you have a certain amount of time to get out of your defensive zone too. I think that's
a little too much.
That's going a little bit too aggressive with it because
Yeah.
let's say you have 30-second shot clock. But then
Well,
before
the
it
only issue with the
starts,
shot clock is like if you don't get a shot off, you just give a possession. So I don't know how that would work.
that's
That might
true.
actually slow it down.
Yeah, that's true because
I
then
just
like
think it should be a rule that you can't take it back past you can't take
that's
once you bring it in the zone, you cannot bring it out
I
unless
think
you're like forced out. Like if you're doing it willingly, I think that should be a whistle.
yeah,
Like for like intentional offsides or something, bring it all the way down.
that's a least aggressive play, and I think that's the smartest play too, without over complicating things. Because a lot of times we'll see some pro sports try to overcomplicate things instead of simplifying it, and then it blows up in their face, and it becomes this horrible experiment that it
There's
just
ways they can get around it,
yeah, of
but
course.
we're not. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that in the Four Nations Cup. I think teams are gonna be pushing. It's best on best, and this might be the last time we ever see Sidney Crosby and some of these guys play together again. So it'll be interesting to watch.
All right, let's get on to the meat of this episode. I'm going to take us over to the lines that were over at practice in Montreal for each of the four teams. We're just going to go in alphabetical order. Starting with the first line, well, I guess these lines aren't really numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. I would look at it more as like pairs, I guess, or like trios, because I think that whichever line is hot is going to be out on the ice. I don't think it's going to be like, you're the fourth line, you're playing 10 minutes a game. That's not going to happen. It's best on best, like you said. Sam Reinhart, McDavid, and Marner with each other, and then Crosby, McKinnon, and Mark Stone. Brad Marchand, Braden Point, Seth Jarvis, and then Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Travis Konechny. And then we go down to the defensive pairings. We have Devin Taves with Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey with Colton Parayko, Shea Theodore with Drew Doughty. And then officially starting is going to be Jordan Binnington, and backing him up is going to be Aiden Hill. Thoughts?
So I will say I think Canada's biggest strength in this tournament is that forward core, especially that top six, that power play. Let's look at the protected power play line. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Sam Reinhart, and Cale Makar and McDavid on the points. Holy shit.
That's
That's insane.
the Avengers we're talking about.
Yeah. No, that is ridiculous. I think their decor is okay. I mean, makes sense. Cale Makar and Devin Taves are playing together. They're one of the best pairs in the league, in my opinion. Parayko, Josh Morrissey, underrated defenseman. I think he doesn't get a lot of love because he's in Winnipeg. And then Drew Doughty filling in for the injured Pietrangelo, like we mentioned earlier. Shea Theodore is also another really solid defenseman. The main concern I had for Canada is that the defensive core outside of probably that top pair, and then goaltending, I think, is the biggest red flag for this team. None of their goalies have really having anything special with this season. I mean, maybe that changes when they know who they're playing with in front of them, and when you play with better people, you tend to play better.
Yeah,
especially for goalies, when we get a power play, like I have Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon and McDavid out there at the same fucking time. Like, I just gotta like less than 2 or 3 goals in, and we should be good.
this is what I think of their defensive core. I think it's underrated, okay?
I don't think it's bad. I think there's one team that definitely has a worse decor than this, so we'll get to them in a minute. But no, you have Cale Makar, you have the best defenseman in the world on your team. Of course, it's not going to be bad, just with him there.
Outside of that, though, because I see a lot of people overlooking this outside of like Cale Makar, you have Devin Taves and Cale Makar, who have been teammates before in Colorado. You have Josh Morrissey, who is one of the best puck-moving offensive defensemen.
Yeah, he's a very underrated player because he's in Winnipeg, and nobody talks about Winnipeg for the most part.
Colton Parayko is having a phenomenal season for the most part offensively in St. Louis. And then Shea Theodore and Drew Doughty are going to lock it up back there. Shea Theodore can still be a good puck-moving defenseman. But, man, I'm excited to see that blue line out on ice. Team Canada, I think, I don't think their goaltending is going to be an issue because of how many stars they have up front in front of them.
Yeah, but if there's going to be a reason I would think they'd lose, I would blame it on the goalies.
Yeah, I'm with you. If there is one weakness on the team, it is goaltending.
I mean, that forward, they might have the best forward core in this tournament. I think Team USA might be the only one that can compete with them forward group-wise. Because, I mean, just that top six, that's ridiculous.
You have a 50-goal scorer, a 150-point guy, an 80-assist guy, and then going on to the second trio, you have arguably a top 15 player of all time, Crosby. You have a 140-point guy, Hart Trophy winner, McKinnon. And then you have one of the best two-way players in the league in Mark Stone.
I mean, just looking at that forward core, I think you have one, two, three, four, arguably five Hall of Famers in that team. Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, McKinnon. I think Brad Marchand will be in the Hall of Fame,
Yeah. And
and I
then
think Braden Point will as well.
on their blue line you have Doughty and Makar, who are also going to be Hall of Famers.
Yes, yeah, for sure, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we're already saying Makar is like a Hall of Fame player.
Well, yeah, he has one cup. He has a Norris
But
at
two Norris
least.
trophies?
I,
I think he has two.
okay,
I
yes,
know he
two.
has at least one.
Yeah, he has at least one, and dude's having an unreal career. Going over to Team Finland, this team is the weakest one of the bunch, but
I
we
agree.
we gotta
Yeah.
stop sleeping on them. Hear these lines, okay? So you have Arturi Lekkinen, Alexander Barkov, and the Mikko Rantanen, Rope Hintz, Sebastian Aho, Patrick Laine, Tivu Teravainen, Eric Holland, Joel Armia, and then Etu Luosterainen, Anton Lundell, and Mikael Granlund. Going over to the defensive players, where I think this team is going to struggle if they lose in the
I'm just
tournament.
waiting to hear you pronounce some of these names because I'm ready to hear you butcher them.
Nico Mikkola, Esa
Okay.
Lindell, Huso Valimaki, Oli Mata, Euro Vakan. What is it? Vacane. I'm not even gonna. Nicholas Mantipalo. I can't pronounce. What is that? Euro Vac and Einen. Vac and Einen. There we go.
Back
We're
in nine, and
fucking
that
back
sounds
in
right. Yeah.
I don't know. We're back in kindergarten, going syllable by syllable. And then their goaltending is UC Saros and Kevin Lankinen. Okay, I have my initial thoughts here before you go on your little tangent. I think their forward group can actually keep their heads above water. Their problem is going to be they're so outside of their top line, which I don't think Nico Mikkola is even a top pair defenseman. I think Esa Lindell is okay. He's not a top pair defenseman either. Their goaltending in their top nine is going to have to carry this team so hard if they want to even have a shot in this
And
tournament.
I wouldn't be very comfortable with their goaltending carrying them because UC Saros has not been good this year, and then Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's okay, and Kevin Lankinen's another decent goalie, like nothing special. Like he's a backup in Vancouver.
Their top six is actually good though.
No, I don't. I think their forward core is pretty okay. I think it's pretty well rounded. I think they have. I think their forward. I think one thing that will help them with their defense is they have some pretty defensive forwards on this team, like with Barkov and Aho and Rope Hintz. Like
Eric
those are
Holla.
Eric Holla. Like those are two. Even Joel Armia is pretty decent defensively. And Luosterainen as well as a decent defensive forward. Like I think those forwards could help make up for. I think this decor is awful.
Oh, it's
Genuinely awful. I mean, especially when you lose Miro Heiskanen, which is probably the second best player on this team, third best player behind Barkov and Rantanen, best defenseman, one of the best defensemen
I would
in the
argue
league.
second best player behind Barkov.
Okay,
Fair enough, though. I get it.
yeah, no, I'm not going to argue with
Yeah.
Barkov. I think Barkov's the best player on this team, hands down. So I think that their forward group can help patch some holes on their defense. They're going to have to play a very responsible two-way game. But I'm just not sure if they have the firepower to keep up with the offensive cores of this other team. And I don't know if they can keep the puck out of their net as much as they can. Like if they play, I believe they play Canada tomorrow.
They either play Canada or Sweden.
Let me check. It's
And
Canada and Sweden tomorrow, then
Okay.
USA Finland on Thursday. So I'm most interested to see how this defense holds up because I think their forward group's, like I said, better than it looks.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have to play very disciplined hockey. You can't go on the penalty kill against some of these like the USA and Canada, just with those crazy forward groups. You know, never say never. I mean, I don't think this team will win the tournament, but you know, crazier things can happen. I remember in the World Cup of Hockey a few years ago, Team Europe made it all the way. Did they win the World Cup of Hockey? I think they might have won.
I have no idea. Honestly, I was 15 at the time. I don't even remember that, to be honest with you. I remember watching it. I don't remember anything that happened.
They got
to
to
be
bring
honest
back
with
Team North America.
you. Dude, me and Chris talked about that in the last episode while you were gone.
Canada. I think Canada won the gold medal game
Okay.
against Team Europe.
Okay.
Which was like the shot. Everyone thought they were going to be the worst team in the tournament, and they ended up like having a really good
Enter
tournament.
Finland. Here comes Finland on a miracle run to the championship game.
I mean, you got to remember, like it's best on best. This is the best team that the Finland could make.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the best players in the world from Finland. So you can never discount them. But just looking at what they're up against, whew.
There's a trend here because, well, first off, if they had Heiskanen and Ristolainen, this team would be so much like
I think
I would.
Risto boosts them a little bit, but Heiskanen like raises the play a
Heiskanen makes
lot.
them from. They'll be lucky if they win one game or maybe even two games, but they can get to a 2-2 record and possibly get into the championship round. That's just, I think, how good Heiskanen is. And then there's a trend with these Finnish forwards. It's like they're all very good two-way guys between
Except for
like the
Patrick
guys.
Laine.
That's true. I mean, he's
He ain't
scoreless in
playing
his last.
defense.
He's scoreless in his last 10 games with Montreal. I think 2 and pointless in his last 8. Not that that really matters going into this tournament, but just something to note, I
Yeah,
guess.
but like I said, Finland isn't a team I'm super high on, but you can't sleep on them. Just it's best on international, best on best. Like they're gonna be playing their ass off. They know they're probably being doubted in this tournament, and they got something to prove.
Yeah, they do. Going over to Team Sweden. So we have Philip Forsberg, Elias Pettersson, and Adrian Kempe, and then Ricardo Raquel, Mika Zibanejad, William Nylander, Jesper Bratt, Joel Eriksson, Ek, Lucas Raymond, and then Victor Arvidsson, Elias Lindholm, and Gustav Nyquist. Their defensive pairs: Victor Hedman, Jonas Brodin, Matthias Ekholm, Eric Carlson, and then Gustav Forsling with Rasmus Dahlin. Goaltending is going to be Philip Gustafsson and Linus Allmark, assuming Allmark is going to end up being the starter. I would be shocked if he's not, to be honest with you. We should
I mean,
know.
Gustafson's having an incredible
Oh,
season
he's
too.
having close to a Vesna caliber season. You can't go.
I think they split the first couple games of like the round robin, and whoever plays better, I think plays the third game.
That'd be a starting point for Sweden if that happens. I'm curious to see who plays tomorrow against Team Canada. We'll
Yeah,
see though.
that's gonna be telling because that's not an easy game.
I wonder if they throw Allmark in tomorrow because it is Team Canada and the more experienced goaltender. And who knows though?
We will see. That's going to be the interesting part about this whole tournament. Is I'm excited. I'm really excited for this.
Dude,
I mean, this is the first time since 2016 we've seen best on best international hockey.
I think I'm gonna catch every single game I possibly can with this tournament, and I'm calling out Chris here, our producer, because I asked in the chat, should we do like a preview or predictions or whatever tonight, and he goes, like it's up to you guys. I don't really care about it. I'm like, how do you not care about this? It is best on best play. Come
Yeah,
on.
no, I mean this only happens like well, it used to happen only every 4 years in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wish there was more countries involved in this, honestly, because you can't really call it a best on best tournament. Like I know there's a lot of like world issues with Russia participating in this tournament. I get it. I get the NHL wants to just avoid the controversy, but like they have some of the best hockey players in the world, and I think it's really tough to call this like truly a best on best tournament without the Russian players participating in it.
Of course.
Like I totally understand why the NHL is just trying to avoid it. They don't want to start any controversy and get flamed by the media. And yeah, I get it, but I'm excited for the Olympics in a few years when I don't know if Russia will be unbanned from the Olympics by then. Who knows? But uh, we'll have more. We'll have like Switzerland also in that tournament most likely. So we'll have like some more players from different teams. Germany's actually building a pretty good pool of players as well. With Leon Draisaitl's best German player probably ever. So I'm really excited for the Olympics in a few years. But I mean, this is better than nothing.
Yeah.
I'll take this over an All-Star game
Oh,
any
me
year
too.
though. Any year.
I want to head back to Team Sweden here.
Yeah, sorry, got a little
No.
sidetracked there for a second.
You're good. Back to Team Sweden. The one thing that I think that even Team Finland might have over them is on paper, I think Team Finland's forward core might match up with Sweden's, but I think Sweden's is a little bit underrated too because you don't have that one on paper guy like Finland has Mikko Rantanen and like Barkov, and obviously we know USA and Canada. And here it's like you have Elias Pettersson, you have William Nylander who's having a phenomenal season too. And like this, I think this lineup is really, really deep. You go up and down the lineup from Forsberg to Elias Lindholm, Nyquist, who they aren't having particularly great seasons, but maybe in this round robin type of scenario, they end up playing good. And I think they have a blue line to match up with US's, to be honest with you.
Their blue line is insane. I mean, Victor Hedman, Brodin, Ekholm, and Carlson. The fact that the third pair is Forsling and Dahlin, which I think might be the best pair out of these three, just because I think they'll complement each other very well.
Yeah.
like this is pretty stacked, and I think they have the second best goaltending in the tournament. With two, Linus Ullmark is a Vezina Trophy winner. Gustafson's, I think, is a candidate this season to possibly be a finalist. I don't think he'll win just because there's one other guy that I don't think can be denied it right now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to him in a
Yeah.
minute. But I think, yeah, their decor, I do think is the best in the tournament. Just Victor Hedman, you know, yeah, I don't know what else I could say about this decor. Like I said, the fact that Dahlin and Forsling are on the third pair. Like I know these pairs don't really matter, like
Mm-hmm.
ranking wise. They're just gonna play, and I'm sure these are not final. They're gonna see how they play. I mean, curious to power play. Yeah, they don't even have Dahlin on their power
I
play.
think I think instead of Eric Carlson, it should be Darlene as on the second power play unit. I would throw Darlene on the first power play unit.
But Victor Hedman and Eric Carlson are two of the best puck moving defensemen ever.
Yeah, but Eric Carlson's fucking washed.
No, he's not washed offensively. He's never been good at defense, but he's still a really good puck moving defenseman. Go look at his stats if you don't believe his
No,
analytics. If
I
you don't
don't.
believe me.
I believe you. His offensive advanced analytics and his on paper stats are really good. But I'm just saying right now, maybe it's me being biased because I'm a Sabres fan. I just think that at least give Darlene some looks.
I'm sure he will get looks, but you have two of the best puck moving defensemen of all time on your team, and two Hall of Famers, and Eric Carlson and Victor Hedman. There's no way you don't put them on the power play.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like no disrespect to Rasmus Dahlin, I love him too. He's like the captain of our favorite team, the Sabres. He's our best player. I want to see him out there on the power play and like putting the team on his back like he usually does with the Sabres. But yeah, you can't deny Victor Hedman and Eric Carlson. Carlson ain't gonna be out there to play defense. Like he won't not be out there on the penalty kill. You can believe that. But and also like in tight situations where like they can't let up a goal. Like yeah, Carlson will not be on the ice.
He
But
will.
any offensive situation, he's still one. I think still one of the better puck moving defensemen in the NHL.
You have 5 D-men out there that besides Carlson that can go out there and play on the PK or be out there when you need to shut down
Yep.
the Team Canada or Team US. Speaking of Team US, why is my thing okay? There we go. Team U. It's loading. Sorry. I don't know what's going on right now. Okay, we finally got it pulled up. Okay. The forward core of Team US. Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Matt Boldy, JT Miller, Brady Tkachuk, Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, Dylan Larkin. Defensive pairings. Oh my lord, do we have Jacob Slavin and Adam Fox, Zach Werenski, Charlie McAvoy, Noah Hannafin, Brock Faber. Enter the best goaltending duo you could possibly have in Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger. A goaltender in which you have a goals against that is sitting around 2.0, mind you. And then Jake Ottinger is having a phenomenal season as well. Where do we start with this team? I'm going to start with the positives before we start with the negatives with this team. Their top six is ridiculous. Between you pairing Connor with Eichel, a goal scorer with the playmaker,
And Matthew, I'm excited to see them on Matthew
yes,
Tkachuk
yes,
too.
Matthew Tkachuk that can just do it all. He's dirty.
Mm-hmm.
He'll go in the corners, and then the second line, Jake Gensel, who is paired up with Austin Matthews. Jake Gensel can score and he can pass. Dude can play make left and right. Austin Matthews, who is a pure sniper, and then Jack Hughes, who is a great playmaker. Having those two guys next to Austin Matthews is disgusting.
Yeah, no, that top six is scary.
Come on. What do we?
Yeah, no, I'm not super high on their bottom six.
Yeah.
You could tell Chris Jury was the GM of this team.
No, it was Bill Guerin.
Oh, Bill Guerin. I still don't really agree with the addition of Chris Kreider on this team. I didn't agree with it before when they announced it at the beginning of the year, and definitely his play this year. I don't think has warranted him to spot on this team. He's not even on the lineup sheet for this. It looks like he's the 13th forward. I mean, Trocheck ain't having a much better season. I mean, JT Miller has been up and down. He's had his own ice issues that we're not even going to get into. Dylan Larkin. I mean, but it's mainly those three that I have an issue with. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, stud. Dylan Larkin, stud. Brock Nelson's been very underrated this year. He's been one of the more consistent players on the Islanders, and I think he'll fit into that fourth line role well. And then Matt Boldy's another player I'm really really high on in Minnesota. I think he's another really good. He's younger too, because you got to strike a balance. Because I know you have a bunch of like superstar players on Team USA that can't be denied, and it looks like they went for a balance. This looks like a more veteran team, honestly. There's not a ton of super young players on this team. I think the youngest players on this team are Brock Faber and Matt Boldy.
When you look at this roster, it screams to me like if they were going into an Olympic style tournament rather than just a sort of round robin championship game, whatever. I'm going to list off players that could have been on the roster instead of Trocheck, Kreider, and I guess maybe even JT Miller, depending on how
I
other
think
people
JT
feel.
Miller, like if he didn't have like off ice issues and all that other stuff, that definitely affected his play.
It did.
I think he would have been more than deserving to be in this team. But like I get, and this was also made. This was done before the season started, right?
Yeah.
Like these rosters were pretty much decided before the season started. They weren't announced till a little bit later, but as far as I know, yeah.
They weren't. The first initial rosters weren't announced, and then the final your roster has to be locked in happened yesterday at 5, I believe. There are so I know they're going for more balanced style of a lineup, like you said, but Cole Caulfield, Tage Thompson, Jason Robertson, and Clayton Keller all missed out on being on this team because they wanted to go with Trocheck and Kreider. I think Larkin and Brock Nelson both deserving. I'm not throwing shade at them. I think both Brock Nelson has 3 straight 30-goal seasons. I think he's about to hit another 20 goals this season. Trocheck and Kreider just aren't having a great season with New York, and it's no knock on them. I get having Kreider on the team because he has the Team USA resume, but sometimes just like if this team had 2 of the 4 players that I just named off on this roster instead of those 2, I think Team USA would go 4-0.
I mean, I don't think Cole Caulfield would have been on the team anyway. I do think Tage Thompson got snubbed. Honestly, I'm not just saying that as a Sabres fan. I mean, he's on track to have another 40-goal season this year. When he's healthy, he's been one of the best forwards in the league, in my opinion. Clayton Keller, I'm not super surprised that he's not on this team. And then who's the fourth player you
Jason
said?
Robertson.
Robertson, that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really argue with too many of these players. I mean, Bill Guerin picked a couple of his own guys, and Matt Boldy and Brock Faber. I mean, yeah, Brady Tkachuk, like I said, JT Miller, I understand why he's there. I mean, the only 2 players like I would probably take off this team were probably Vince Trocheck and Chris Kreider. I think Brock Nelson fills a role on this team.
Oh,
Like
he
honestly,
does.
yeah, he's like
Yes.
a fourth line. It's crazy he's on a fourth line, but yeah, no. And then their defensive core, like who is replacing Quinn Hughes? Is Sanderson? So
It's
he's not even
Sanderson,
listed
yeah.
on here. So that's a pretty good 7th defenseman. I mean, I would have really liked to see Hughes in this lineup.
It's
Don't get me wrong, but Slavin is another a good defenseman. Adam Fox is also having a bit of a down year, but you can't not have him on the team. Zach Werenski, I think, should be in the Norris discussion. Honestly, Charlie McAvoy, one of the more consistent defensemen in the league. Noah Hannafin, another really good defenseman, and Brock Faber, who had a stud rookie season last year, having another good year with the Wild. And then goaltending. This is USA's biggest strength. You look at that roster, top and down, like, okay, that forward core, that top 6, disgusting. D core, really good. But that goaltending, you have Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger as your tandem. That's insane.
looking at this roster up and down. Team USA has a chance to. They're either going to kill teams like 4-1, 5-2 type
I
of
don't think
things.
there's going to be blowouts in this
No, I don't
tournament.
think they're going to be blowouts either, but just with how good the goaltending is, I know you look at Team Canada's forward core. Team Canada is going to score the puck at will. Their power play unit is disgusting. You go over to Team USA's power play unit, you have
Just as good.
Matthew Tkachuk, Jack Hughes, Austin Matthews, Eichel, and Adam Fox. That's ridiculous. So you look at Team USA, Team USA and Team Canada's games. Well, I guess game, depending on if they meet in a championship or not, which I think they will. We'll get to that in a second.
We will be live streaming Saturday night.
Yes.
Team USA versus Canada, 8 o'clock.
And
Make
then
sure
the
if you want to
championship
watch it with
game.
us.
Championship
Yes.
game on Thursday. We're doing a watch party. It's not going to be a live commentary. We're just kind of going to be chilling, talking puck, whatever. Yeah, but I think that game's going to be super close. That's going to be entertaining. I'm
Yeah, I
excited
mean
for it.
it's like the first time Team USA and Canada have has best on best since 2016.
Yes, it's gonna be exciting.
That's wild that was fucking 9 years ago. Fuck, man.
Time flies, dude. It does.
Getting old.
How about our predictions for this tournament?
I'll let you go first.
All right. So I do think that Team Finland, I know a lot of people are already writing them off because of their roster. I think they do win one game. I don't know against who. I'm probably going to go against Team Sweden mainly because Team USA and Team Canada sweep both of those teams. I'll give you a hot take for this. I think Finland ends up with more wins than Sweden.
That's a hot take.
I think that happens. I think they end up with 2, and I think Sweden ends up with 1. Call me crazy. I don't know. Maybe that happens, or maybe both teams end up with 1. I don't know. But either way, though, I think Team Finland matches up with Sweden well. And then going on to the championship, I think it is going to be Canada and USA. Big fucking shocker right there. I think the U.S. comes out on top. I think it's going to be a 5-4. Actually, no, I think it's going to be a 3-2 game in overtime. I think we're going to get one of those games in the
Oh, you're doing
championship
score
game.
predictions too. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's just what I came up with off the top of my head. If you want to do it, go for it. If not, but I think Matt Boldy is going to be huge for this team. I think, again, Brock Nelson is going to play a major role, like you said, but that top 6 is just going to, and that goaltending is just going to propel them over Team Canada.
So you have Sweden, Finland, Canada, USA as your
Yes.
standings. Okay, so mine's gonna be pretty different than yours.
Okay.
So I think Finland is. This is just me doing it based on I think overall roster construction.
Okay.
Haven't seen them play in the ice yet, so I think Finland is the worst team on paper going into this tournament easily. Their goaltending isn't the greatest. Their defense is a big issue, especially with the forward cores that Canada, USA, and Sweden have. I think they're lucky if they win a game.
Okay.
I think they might get a couple overtime games. So I have them coming in 4th. And then my 3rd place team, I think, is Canada. Yeah. Yeah.
What the?
I really like Team Sweden's roster. I think they're better than Team Canada, honestly.
I just fucking heard that right. Did I hear? Did you say I'm actually in shock?
I'm really not. I don't feel comfortable with Canada's goaltending. I think that is what's going to lose them games.
I'm just reading if anybody stayed this far in the episode, I'm just reading somebody calling you a fucking idiot.
Okay,
And
they can
I'm
call
here
me an
for it.
idiot.
I'm
I
here
don't
for
care.
it. I'm
I'm
here
going to be
for it.
right. So, and then yeah, the championship game I have USA versus Sweden, and I have USA winning the tournament.
Okay.
I think USA is hands down the best roster up
Mhm.
and down, and I agree with you. I think their goaltending will be the difference. I think they win the championship game 5-2, and I'm gonna make an MVP pick. I think that Connor Hellebuck will be MVP of the tournament.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I'll make an MVP pick too. Jack Eichel is my MVP for Team US.
I was thinking about Eichel. I think that's a good pick too.
I think he's having an unreal year, and I just think this is going to be his time to shine even more and continue the ridiculous season that he's having.
He's going to be the number 1 center on this team.
He is.
So.
And in 4 games, I think he puts up like 7 points. I think he'll be like 3
Is Bruce
goals,
Cassidy
4
coaching this? No, Bruce Cassidy's coaching Canada, right? Who's coaching Team USA?
I don't know. All I know is that Torts is part of the coaching staff. I don't know if he's a head coach or not. The only reason I know that is because a picture came out of him talking to it was Eichel, Matthews, and maybe it was Matthew Tkachuk. Was it those 3?
That'd be one hell of a conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited for this though.
But I think USA wins though.
Yeah, I'm with
not
you.
biased us being Americans. I think they just have the best team.
I get they just have the best team, but whether they win or whether they lose, I'm just rooting to watch some great hockey at the end of the day. I'm not sitting here being a U.S. homer. If USA lose, I'm fucking pissed. No, let me just watch good hockey. That's all I want, especially as a content creator.
I'm really excited to watch good hockey. I mean, we'll get a taste of it tomorrow.
Mhm.
We'll see if I'm right or wrong right away because Canada's playing Sweden tomorrow.
Yes.
So.
Yes, fuck it. Let's get a Sweden upset. Why don't we?
Sweden wins 3-2 in overtime.
I
heard it here first.
I got Canada winning 5-2.
Okay, I think Sweden pulls off the upset.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see who's right tomorrow night when we record for our weekly Thursday episode. That's going to end it for today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, all of our socials are down below. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X for more exclusive content. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you guys are over on Apple and Spotify. Head over to all of those links and go check out more content. We'll see you guys in our next episode.